Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 meeting of Grafton Mass Accessibility Advisory Commission. Um, Call this meeting to order at 6:40 p.m. I'm Roger Trahan, Chair of the Commission, and because we are meeting via Zoom, I will first take a roll call. Uh, Paul Letourneau,
Here.
Christy Proctor,
Here.
Tracy Sharkey.
Hi.
All right, Roger here, and Catherine is not here, and because there's a couple of vacancies, this is it. This is our minimum quorum. So I anticipate it will be a very light meeting. I don't see anyone else signed in. Under announcements, there are two Accessibility Advisory Committee vacancies for terms expiring 6:30 of 27 and 6:30 of 28. Those are now on the website. And someone had pointed out to me when I posted it on All Things Grafton and took it down quickly, but I haven't reposted it, that the blurb itself wasn't accessible because I had put it in like a picture form, so it didn't
Ah,
have a live link. And so I'm going to simply repeat the words and then post the blurb, and hopefully it will take some traction. And there's many places as we can advertise, but no bites really. So I don't have any other announcements. Does anyone have any announcements that might be pertinent other than I guess um, all of us would be, I think, on the receiving end of a group email from Mass Office on Disability
oh, okay.
regarding updates and newsletters and links and things like that. But normally I forward them to the commission anyway. So I didn't see any like recent ones. Does anyone else have any announcements? Okay. Moving on to, I didn't receive any external correspondence, although I have on further up Adam Lapointe's Recreation Department. I didn't consider that external. I kind of considered that internal, town correspondence. So I didn't receive any external, and I was in town hall a couple of days ago. I don't know if anyone would send any like hard mail, but there's a box for accessibility advisory in that little mail alcove outside of the town clerk's office.
Mhm.
So meeting minutes, moving on to the third agenda item. Uh, do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes of our meeting of January 13th, 2026?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Would you like me to pull them up, Roger?
Yes, please. I,
Okay.
I have no input except formatting, and I
Okay.
think one back click will fix all four things. It's
Okay.
when
Look.
you
Hold on. I'm going to share real quick so we can see. Can
okay.
you please turn on sharing?
Oh, yes. So if you go onto the bottom of the second page when you open it,
Okay.
and I don't see it.
Under meeting minutes?
No, yeah, yeah. Okay, no, under AAC annual report. Yeah,
Yeah.
under what happened is under when you did action and bolded it, it renumbered it as a
Oh,
separate agenda. I
I
bet
see
you
that.
if you make that five disappear, it will in corresponding fashion probably make five, six, seven, and eight disappear because they should be really five, six, and seven.
Right.
It renumbered all the subsequent ones.
Okay. Let me go
So,
back. And then five.
oh, it did.
Yeah, it did.
It did. Okay, so those were the only formatting. That was the only thing I had.
And I always try to underline when we do an action. Okay. I can't get rid of this goofy thing in front of the meeting minutes under number three. It's been there for quite a few meetings. I've
What,
tried and it just,
what do you, hold on a second. I'm looking. I'm not sure what you mean.
under our the tabbing from the letter 3 period over to meeting minutes, it's an anomaly. I can't get I can't get it to go to 3. So I'll try it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see if it sits there and plays nicely. I have tried this for many a meeting minutes.
Well, you know
So,
why that is? I think it's, and this happens with Excel, is that when you keep on sharing and re-editing and updating and sharing and updating a document,
yeah.
sometimes it gets corrupt. And normally what I've been doing is I've been simply recycling the agendas.
Yeah.
And as long as it contains the same Zoom meeting ID,
Okay.
that makes life easier for me. And
Okay.
then I change the content, and then the Zoom blurb is underneath for a few pages. So it's possible that if I were to ever maybe copy and paste and create a new Word document, that might fix itself.
Okay. I'm gonna stop the share then. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. We moved
Okay.
that.
So motion made and seconded to approve the draft minutes of January 13, 2026. Any further comments? Or hearing none, all those in favor by roll call. Paul,
Aye.
Christie,
Hi.
Gracie,
Aye.
Roger, I declare the motion carried unanimously 4-0. Um, the fourth item on the agenda is that rec department. It was an email from January 22nd,
Yes.
2026 from our recreation department director, Adam Lapointe, regarding continued efforts to identify where, um, with an icon, where a an activity is accessible. And one of the issues that I didn't do is that's not a live link in the meeting packet. And it was, I want to say 60 pages maybe. I, I I went to print out the packet and I printed it. It's a pretty sizable document. And I don't know if that it's blurry or I don't know. Anyway, uh I attempted it was too large a document to send on the server for some reason as far as formatting. So I didn't include the actual brochure just because I wasn't able to it get kicked back each time I tried to send it to the town administrator's office. So I would invite anyone just to go on to the Grafton-ma.gov website, go to uh, departments, recreation department, and it should have the summer programs. And if you look, there are icons where he says it identify a logo. He's created a logo which identifies which of our programs are designed as adaptive slash inclusive in our program, well, brochure. And so I'm just trying to see here if don't know if you want to log in.
Would you like me to put the link um in our report in the meeting minutes?
Oh, in the minutes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
I can copy the link address and I can also put it in the chat real quick if someone has another screen open and wants to take a look.
It is yeah, it's this icon of orange, blue, and green, uh people standing up with a purple person in a wheelchair. And it's a circle and it's that denotes the accessible program. So is anyone were you logging in, Tracy? Or who?
Logging in, I'm just
You
going
just have
through the large brochure.
Yeah, the spring summer programs brochure.
Yep,
Are you able I don't know if I think I may have pressed share to all. Okay, hold on a second.
got it.
Oh, okay. So Christy did the link in the chat. So
Yep,
Yep.
So I'm not seeing it.
Do you want me to put it up or
Yeah,
share?
if you could, just to show what everyone what
Sure,
it looks like,
sure, no problem.
Oh, that's cool.
isn't it?
Yep.
It's pretty visible.
Yep.
I'm still at the refund policy. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
see on the right there?
A
Yeah.
plus karate. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's very prominent because it's a very plain, and I say that in a good way, brochure. And so this is really prominently noted.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. The sing, dance, play, and create with music with Jen.
Yeah,
She's awesome. She's a music therapist. I really like her.
awesome.
Okay.
So
Paul,
yeah,
you,
so that was what would have otherwise it kind of seemed like overkill for me to include it in the meeting packet, but I could have simply included one page,
hmm
but I did not. But you get the picture, and that's
Hmm.
something maybe I could throw on All Things Grafton or something to say, hey, listen, the registration opens or had already opened last week on February 2nd for spring summer programs. Please note inclusive programs as noted. So, all right. Town survey, item 5 on the agenda. Let's moving forward. Now, when we
Right.
discussed that last month, just looking here.
Yes, and we were supposed to think about themes and what we really want to um gather. I mean, we don't want to have a survey, but what kind of information or themes did we want to focus on? Because, it would be very easy to do a big survey, but we don't want to annoy people with 100 questions.
Right.
Um, but, if we wanted to think about something very specific, we wanted to measure and assess in terms of accessibility, what could some possible themes be?
And what would be the extent of the survey? 5 items? I don't, I've never really done surveys, so I don't know. Sort of like public service announcements, PSAs. What is people's attention span for these things? So how many questions, I'm not going to answer 38 questions, to win a town trash bag. So
I,
Oh,
and
you're
so
wow, you even think there's prizes. You're really
I know, and yeah, assuming presses. Paul, you had a comment or question?
yeah, I'm just wondering how many people really understand what disability accessibility means. I mean, it's a wonderful term, and we know what it means. But if I said that to someone, they'd say, "Well, what do you do? What does that mean?" So maybe one of the questions should be, "What does it mean to you when we say disability accessibility?"
Hmm.
well, I know, but that's hard to then use that to do something with. So
Yeah, that's true.
maybe we define it
Right.
and then say, do you see where are we accessible and where aren't we accessible? It could be that simple.
Right,
I,
right.
you know.
Yeah. Well, so you're thinking that making it personal in terms of are we personally accessible, or are there people who have problems with accessibility who live within your home? You know,
Yeah, in other words, people wouldn't necessarily, I think maybe what Paul's referring to is they could be answering it not only in the first person, but on behalf of a friend or relative who lives
right?
in Grafton, and that person who's filling out the survey may not even be a resident of Grafton.
True.
We would need to open it up or define, you know, I don't see us limiting it to necessarily Grafton residents as long as we denote that sort of demographic. Are you filling this or expressing your concern and input on behalf of yourself or someone else? Do you live in Grafton? And then have a handful of areas where we speak of
Yeah.
accessibility and what that means, whether it's
Is it?
structural or
Uh,
services or whatnot.
I don't know if it still exists because I haven't read it in years. The Grafton News, does that it still exist?
Yes, it does. It's sort of scaled back like Parade Magazine and the Reader's
Yeah,
Digest. So,
yeah. Well, I'm just wondering if maybe a small survey could appear in there,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
with an address that they can send their response to.
I know. Yeah, because not everyone
Subscribes. I don't.
subscribes or well, not everyone subscribes, but not everyone it unless you did it multiple weeks, it's easy to just
Right.
once that's gone, it's usually in the trash or recycle bin,
Exactly.
whereas
Yeah.
something online, you know,
True.
we would need to this is sort of a catch 22. We're trying to gauge accessibility, but we may only be limiting the format in which we present the survey in one form of media.
Very true.
And so I think we need to make sure that we understand the various ways people consume information in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Shrewsbury did conduct one, and they had a QR code plus a link, and then we could also do paper at, a couple of places throughout the town hall. But I think we really should establish what information do we want to find out? What's important to us for this survey? So where are we
Mhm.
heading? Um, I can share my screen on what Shrewsbury did. I don't know what the questions are because they've already closed the survey, but it's just something simple. I don't know what their goal was with this survey, but are you someone with a disability or care for someone who has one? Make your voice heard. So maybe along the lines of where, like what Christy was saying, what are we doing great and what could we improve on?
Right.
Maybe do we want to capture ideas for improving accessibility in the town of Grafton? Do we want to, like you said, Paul, public outreach, more informational? What kind of information do we want to receive back to the commission to make it worthwhile for someone to complete and then, for us to take the results and have them in a useful, a useful mechanism for improvement. I think we want to bring awareness. We want to service the public better through the findings of the survey.
Right.
I totally agree with that, Tracy, because we want, because it's such a broad topic, we want to find out what people would um, view as an important topic for us to address. And it could be as simple as communication. It could
True.
be that someone wants, and we could have a drop-down menu with selections. Do you want to hear more
Yes.
about topics on disabilities or caring for someone with a disability? How to become involved with disability organizations? I mean, there's a real wide range, but on the other hand, I think that a lot of people don't know about things to be able to
I
really
don't.
say, did you know we have, and of course this isn't the place, but I wonder if for branding's sake for the AAC, we need to say, hey, did you know there's now more accessible playgrounds in town? Did you know that we're a dementia friendly community? Like some of those things. That's maybe a different conversation, but
Yeah.
And I think if the person is participating and completing a survey, then it is important to them.
yes.
Yes.
So if they're going to take the time, we should probably have more pointed questions, more purposeful questions,
Yeah.
questions
Yeah.
or suggestions or something. I don't know where are we going. I think we identify the goal and then work our way backwards, maybe with
Yes.
5 questions.
I think opening the conversation with the public when it says, do you know anyone who's caring for someone with a disability or is, you know, I think that those two questions that appeared on the Shrewsbury requests are pertinent to almost everybody, you know.
Hmm. So I could try to grab what their survey was and share it with everyone to kind of
That
get a
would be nice.
flavor. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but I'm
Right.
sure people have given this a lot of thought and there's already something out there that, and what did they do with the information once the survey was over?
Yeah. Hopefully they didn't put it in file 13.
Well, you can find quite a few surveys online. In 2024, North Reading did one up in North Reading in Mass,
Mm-hmm.
and they focused theirs just on transportation needs.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a paper version in the mail,
Uh-huh.
and it also came with the annual report. And it was open, and they had 1,559 responses,
Wow.
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 21% response rate.
Wow.
That's
That's pretty
excellent.
good.
But I have to tell you where they put the form. They put the paper form in the mail along with the town census.
Yeah.
Ah,
Usually I love when towns double up the mailing.
Yeah. And this was also online.
Yeah.
And they asked questions about transportation, submitting feedback to the town about transportation services, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, that's what they did. Okay.
Was that part of a grant given by the state?
Um, I think it was done together with the Transportation Committee and the Commission on Disabilities.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to put the link in the chat,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a few examples that I just Googled, and I apologize I
Yeah.
didn't Google these earlier, but anyways, I'm just happy something from Massachusetts came up and was so robust because you're right, I don't want to reinvent the wheel either. Um, but again, that's a good example of someone's ideas being focused and collaborating with another department. So if we were to just survey parents and playgrounds, we could do that. We don't need to because I think that has been really explored and
Yeah.
and we've been responsive to, but that's, one way we can think about it.
Yes.
Let me see if there's another one. I just have this up. I just Googled it. But again, thinking about um do we want to create community awareness, okay, about the need for things to be accessible? We can ask if people understand that, and that doesn't have to go out to people with disabilities. That can go out to everyone. That did you know we're trying to make our town more accessible? Or we could do like Paul was saying, what are the needs? Um, what are the challenges? What are the difficulties? Can you
right.
report a barrier? In what category would it fall? Transportation, technology, physical access? Like we could do something that's pretty um, straightforward. But my question about that is that kind of follows up with what we were doing with the ADA audit. They did an extensive audit, not of everything, but this would be, since then, what maybe have become newer issues, or we may see things that were on our radar before that are no longer applicable because they've been rectified, like
Right.
the ramp behind the senior center, you
Right.
know?
Right. And various counters that are either finished or in process at the municipal center.
So
And
I,
even
I
even
I really like asking though about the accessibility challenges, and letting people tell us what they think. But again, we'd probably get a lot of responses about problems with the town by and large. We've got to keep it focused on.
But
Yeah.
also, what do we do well? Like, what are your thoughts? In other words, not asking necessarily asking a leading question. If people are going to weigh in, they'll tell you they'll certainly tell you what needs to be rectified. but certainly we do not want to ignore that we do things well
Right.
and to recognize where we have done well. And maybe people will point out, hey, guess what? This used to be, you know, broken down or inaccessible, and now it's functional. So,
True. Although
so
I can't, well,
what do you, how do we want to do things from here?
Well, I just wrote I'm just writing this down as you guys all say this. So if we do backwards design and we state that what we want to gather is information to assist our commission in identifying any barriers for persons with disabilities. Um, and then you were saying what we also do well. Um, and identifying barriers accessible and let me think of the word, and identifying any barriers as well as access in town
it has
for
improved.
persons with disabilities. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that, I think we've talked that through. I mean, it's just, I mean, that's good. I mean, we could um ask very open-ended questions, but I think it helps people because I think they get annoyed uh if there's too many open-ended. They do like to do some general checks.
Like
Yeah.
clicking. Yeah. Just click,
Click,
click, click, click.
click, click, click. Because I'll tell you, CVS, every time I go, I have to fill out the survey, and I'm just saying I don't want to do it. But initially, I was happy to fill that out and say who helped me. And then it became, no, I'm just clicking. And now it's like, no, I don't have time to do more, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Every time I do business with CVS online, I get a survey.
yes.
Uh, so sometimes they'll say, would you care to fill out a completed survey for when you're finished with this call? Most of the time I say yes, but sometimes I say, no, I don't want to have
Yeah.
another
You have to be in the
survey.
mood. Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
Okay, so Phillipston, Mass. Let's see. They looked at town buildings, programs, and services, and it was just related to the town, not the school or businesses. And I think I have their survey. It was done by UMass Boston, and it was done through Qualtrics, and it was done in March of 2026. If I get this survey
That's
open,
next month, March of 26.
Yeah.
no,
She's opening it.
March 6th, 2024.
Oh,
Oh.
or March 26th, 20. Okay.
Let me see if I can even get in. Oh, here it is. Are you a resident? Yes or no? Oh, I have to answer it. What's your current age? I mean, I don't know. Do we want to ask that question?
No, that doesn't alter a person's opinion. Well, maybe it does, but
What best
I
describes
mean,
you?
there's certain
I have a
questions I think,
disability. I'm a family member or caregiver. I do not, or other.
I'm going to have you pause for a second because
Yeah.
we just briefly fell below quorum. Oh, there you are, Trace.
I'm
All right, you're
here.
back.
I'm
Oh,
here. Even if I turn my video off, you don't, you don't,
okay,
I'm
gotcha.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. And then it just asks what auxiliary aids do you use? But the question they really get to, have you or any individual for which you care for had an issue accessing a town facility?
or
And
a
it's
public facility. Would that
um
be the same?
no, because public facilities could be private businesses, right?
True.
Business is open to the public
Yeah,
Yeah.
versus a municipal
right.
building.
And then, of course, it says, have you ever asked for an accommodation? No one's ever. Tracy, has anybody asked for an accommodation?
No.
No.
I know. Oh. And then it asks about technology with website, email listservs, email, social media accounts. Do you have trouble accessing these in these formats? Um, technology is a big thing. And then, of course, then they list town meetings, select board meeting, other commissions, elections. How accessible are these? Can I tell you one thing I like about this? At the top, it tells me how much I have left to do. And that's it.
Nice.
That's it, Town of Phillipston.
I think there were too many questions involved in that survey. I think we need to keep the survey simple, easy, and compact. But
Okay,
we need to decide what are we going to ask.
right. Well,
The
let's think
primary,
about it.
I think,
I
do you
think
know anyone with a disability who needs services? Or do you take care of any person with a disability? And how does it affect you? I
I
mean,
don't
those
know.
things.
I don't need to
No,
know how it affects them.
okay. Well, that's when they'll complain about whatever's going on with
I
it.
know,
They
that's
don't
why it's
get.
like I don't need to know.
Okay.
I think yeah, and it would be very useful to start with what we think is the maximum time the average person would spend on a survey and then identify
Right.
this survey
Yeah.
should take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and
Yes.
make sure it's
Right.
accurate,
Right.
because I've done like work trainings. This should take 30 minutes and it takes an hour and 30,
Oh,
Yes.
you
yeah.
know? It's like
Yeah.
who is, taking this survey that, estimated it was just 30 minutes. But
I like the
um
multiple choice because then you can also take the results and put them in a graph at
Right.
the
yeah,
end to publish versus you have like 100 different answers to one question.
Yes.
right.
So Paul, I know you want to include your questions, but maybe we can craft them where they
Right.
actually
Right.
have a definitive answer or get to what you think is important for somebody to know about
Hmm.
disability. I mean, we could also open it as like an informational like blurb to
Right.
cover, the whole spectrum of disabilities and what it means and all that versus asking the question, do you know what it
Yeah.
means? Maybe we could just
Yes.
do a little short, brief, informative paragraph at the beginning of the survey. And then people might say, "Oh, yeah, that's true. That counts, that
Yeah.
counts, that counts."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll also add that not every question has a narrative box, but I know a lot of these surveys at the very end have some wrap up questions that are open ended and they have a
Yeah.
certain number of characters that someone can fill in just opinion.
Yeah, opportunity to say anything else. Would you like to tell us anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
True.
then that's where we could add that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay,
Okay.
so do we want to each come up with a couple of questions? Do we want to investigate? Do we want to start from the survey that you're viewing now? Do you want me to try to get a couple
I
sample
think
surveys?
the Shrewsbury survey looks very interesting
Yeah, I
and
can't see
direct.
any I can't see anything on it though, because it's closed.
Oh,
Well, that's something for us to consider. Do we want to have it open for such period and then close it? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think so.
And we can, have like 5 to 10 questions each survey and maybe have a new survey for different objectives the next
Yeah.
time. Kind of
Yeah.
break it down into smaller pieces And maybe other people would be more interested in answering different questions.
So,
Hmm.
so
And that
Tracy,
sounds like a good idea, but oh,
do you have Microsoft Forms? Because that's what we use for surveys.
I never looked into it. I do see the doc forms. I think that is Microsoft Forms, but I've never actually made a form.
Oh, I can do it. I can do it so easy and make it good. I can make one, no problem, but I can't use the QCC or work or anything.
Oh,
I want to make sure it comes from the town of Grafton.
yeah, I believe we have it.
Okay.
Let me just take a peek here. Let me log in. But it looks like it's part of the package.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Oh
I wish,
yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
that would be great. And I think, again, I think you all agree with me, anonymous survey.
Yes.
But if
Yes.
people want to share their name, do we want to give them an opportunity or just don't go there?
I don't think we should go there.
yeah, because sometimes people start they could get into name calling, and then it's a
Yes.
public document, and it's
Yeah.
like,
And
all
then
right,
they
how do
say
we
things
redact
like,
things?
what a stupid question, or, we don't need that. What
Well,
we
they
need
wouldn't
is,
see the responses. That would only be on the back end.
well, yeah, but we don't want it to become argumentative either,
Well,
Right.
why would it become argumentative to fill it out?
because human beings, being who we are, we look at someone's response
Oh no,
and,
we wouldn't do that.
okay,
Oh, they would not have access to it.
okay.
I think
Yeah.
if they want to give their name or their email address,
But on the other hand, I was just thinking, Tracy, that's more work for us.
True.
yeah.
Um,
I think we start slow. It's kind of like an experimental survey. We start
yeah.
Yeah.
slow, maybe try to gather some general information, just like you had read about the accessibility. Have you ever had an issue?
Yeah.
Right.
And start there.
Okay.
And maybe test out the program, test out the feedback, the participation, you know,
Okay.
the flavor of
Yes.
the town, the appetite of the town to participate in these types of surveys.
Hey, Roger, one
Yes.
other thought. We
Yep.
better check with somebody to find out, like, do we need approval before we send this out? If you can check with Evan, because like I know at QCC, because we're always surveying for different reasons,
Right.
we kind of have to have it go through approval process.
Right.
So students or staff aren't all getting hit but with surveys at the same week. Like we have an open survey going on right now for all faculty and staff, but we won't get another one for a while. But if you wanted to look, because this isn't the normal course of things, and I don't want to have us collide with another department that's doing a survey. Heaven forbid we send out two surveys in 1 year. I don't
Right.
know.
I know how terrible.
I'm
I,
thinking about doing a survey too. The building department.
yeah.
It's a great idea. It's great, interaction.
Okay. William's usually our point person, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll
Okay,
give
William Lake.
William an email, send him an email. Okay. And because I know that we're advisory to the select board, and even even when we had the subcommittee on our recommendations regarding resources and things, we went through the town administrator, right? Before putting that online, or the select board. I don't know if they took a vote. In other words, we simply didn't tell anyone in the town administrator's office that these were our findings and put them up. We didn't we approach William and or Evan about when we had the subcommittee? I know that the subcommittee findings, that those are brought before, well, no, was it the subcommittee? I know when we renamed, well, often
Yeah.
to rename from Disability Commission to Accessibility Advisory Commission. But I don't recall whether or not, I think we also went in front of the select board to let them know that we had finished our subcommittee work on the resources that we now see on our webpage. And so I don't know, I don't recall whether they needed to take action or the they meaning select board, or whether the town administrator or assistant town administrator had to authorize something to then be put up on our webpage. And so in the same light, I don't know, what the process would be, and I will simply ask um, what the process
Okay.
would be to send out a survey. And we have those that parking violations account that most recently stood at $700.
Yeah. Thing is that if we at least if we broach the subject, do we need town approval to put out a survey that will affect the town?
Okay. Yep. Okay. After this meeting tonight, I'll send him a quick email. Excuse me. So, okay, is everyone ready for the next
Yes.
agenda item? Old business, item number 6, outstanding meeting minutes. So,
I took care of 3 minute three
thank you
meeting
very
minutes.
much. Yes, so today, Christie took care of April 8th, 2025, December 10th, 2024, and February 10th, 2022, 4 years ago today. We had a workshop meeting. So those are taken care of. I'm looking back at last summer, last August. It mentioned April 8th, but then July 8th. I think we took care of those.
No, we took care of those. So I have an idea. I went back. I don't have anything from 2020.
And I probably do. And there was a different clerk back then.
No, but I have an idea of how to deal with this. This is great. Let's take the recording and open it in OpenAI and have it listen to the meeting and summarize our main item.
But I think
Give us a
here's the thing.
transcript.
No, here there's something else that I want to mention, and this
Oh, because
happened
I
with
thought we
library
could just get
trustees.
that to do the notes for us. Because it's a
But
lot of,
I'm not entirely certain that these weren't approved.
oh,
And
okay. I
then
thought they were just recordings of the meetings to be written up.
no, that was noting that the meeting was recorded as a cue to us that that's one way that we could recreate them if we don't have them.
Okay.
And so what sometimes will happen is someone who is either the clerk at the time or stood in for the clerk for a particular meeting or meetings does the minutes. And then what they do is we approve the minutes with a bunch of amendments that then don't get then amended to then be submitted. In other words, some of these could be approved minutes that we're waiting for, like the edits. And one of the things I've done in creating these meeting agendas is when I have put a set of draft minutes on the agenda to be approved, I kept on adding to them until we actually approve them. In other words, it was my style not to take them off so that we don't forget about them. So I am thinking that one or more of these were approved, and I'll know that they were approved um, if it shows up on the a meeting that we were going to approve a certain set of minutes. And then eventually that date for the minutes to be approved disappears in a future agenda. That is a cue to me that they were approved but just not submitted, and that they were probably waiting for edits, and the person recording them hadn't done that. And then from there, I would look to the recording. But what I'm first going to do is I ended up, I think, way from the get-go. I think from the get-go in 2019, when we first reformed or reconstituted after that hiatus, and this is September of 19, that I put together meeting packets so that if there were draft minutes, that they would have been in the meeting packets shortly thereafter. I don't think any of these were simply not done. Um, I can all except one, it says the meetings were recorded. This is September 17th, 2020 meeting. Who's to say we didn't? Maybe that was something quorum related, or who knows? Or maybe we skipped a month, or actually not skipped a month. We would have had an agenda, but then for some reason we didn't meet. So let me first do that before you go with OpenAI. Um, I think these draft minutes exist somewhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if we've approved one or more of these sets. Everyone okay with that, or?
No, that's fine. I'm glad you're hopeful. I just don't think I really, I mean, we've tried for a year almost to track these things down. We'll just have to see.
Okay. I don't think I had dug deep in the meeting packets though.
Okay.
And I think that I also in my Outlook, um, I have an disability/accessibility folder in Outlook, and each time there's something that comes through, if it's just pure admin, I'll delete it. But if it's
Okay.
substantive and documents, I'll drag and drop it. I usually don't leave it in my like inbox or just frivolously delete things of substance. I drag and drop them into a folder, an Outlook folder I've created. And so I can then do a search word or look for, there were a couple of people who would have been clerk at the time. And I can just sort by their incoming or, what they sent me. I think Daryl and Missy uh, had, you know,
Right.
done various clerk roles. So, all right, I'll look that up as well. Um, so other any old business that we have that you can think of that we haven't taken care of?
Were you able to put the images that I sent to you into the town or
It's been a
the
month. I'm gonna do that after the meeting.
Oh,
I talked to
okay.
Cindy this afternoon. She's like, we're already talking to the printer. I'm like, yeah. So I'm gonna,
Okay.
and then I realized that they were not a separate email. It was when you sent us the draft meeting minutes, you had included the pictures there.
Hmm.
So I'll dig those back up. I'll let you know if I need any formatting help. I
Okay.
hate Word when it comes to formatting and margins compared to, let's say, PowerPoint, but I will do that. New business. Um, One item, but it's a constellation of things that I anticipate being a placeholder up until town meeting and town election. I put annual town meeting Monday, May 11th, 2026, and election Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. And I put a blanket statement, municipal and school budgets, accessible services and supports, Community Preservation Act / Community Preservation Committee, the CPA and CPC, and possible Prop 2.5 override. Um, Simply stated, um, as a commission, we weigh in, and we have typically weighed in on matters that impact accessibility items or services or whatnot. Usually it's been to endorse a project, maybe Mass Office on Disability, maybe a community preservation warrant article where we have stood behind and spoken in favor of the town appropriating money toward a particular project or whatever, recreation or what have you. And so this is a beginning discussion just to keep the lines of communication open that we may possibly weigh in on pointing out that we feel a certain way regarding the possibility that certain things may be cut. And two examples of those were that the reduction budget that was presented by the town administrator to the finance committee last week included the possibility that Silver Lake would be shuttered for part or all of the summer. There are different revolving funds and different funding sources that could possibly address some of this, but I had attended the finance committee meeting that day and basically said that I was speaking as chair because I was putting the finishing touches on this agenda, and that I pointed out that Silver Lake, as an example, was a place that basically was identified in the ADA eval as being deficient in areas that were since fixed, including the walkway, two upper parking spaces, and the matting that go down to the beach. So that potentially is an area, just one of who knows how many, that could be adversely impacted, that would be an accessible space taken offline. And the other thing would be, as if the Proposition 2.5 override, for instance, does make it to the ballot, and we're voting on two different budgets, a full budget and a reduction budget, then one of the things that could be separate but related is that in terms of economic gain, the idea was floated that if we took away the Community Preservation Act property surtax, that would be a way for someone to say, all right, even though that we're not shifting monies, someone may look upon, okay, since I'm not paying the surtax, the CPA surtax, then maybe I might be more inclined to vote for an override because it's freeing up money that was going from this bucket and putting it in this bucket. Not that CPA monies could be put in that bucket, but the way people look at their wallet, that by getting rid of that, less any commitments that we have to regarding borrowing, we still have to meet obligations that we may have borrowed against monies to pay off certain things. But, by taking that away, it doesn't mean things wouldn't get done. It just would mean that those accessibility projects would be sort of now in the same boxing ring as all the other projects in town versus being set aside with CPA monies. And so I put this on here to just as a reminder that these are the types of things we might be weighing in on in a slightly different way than we've weighed in the past, where we're endorsing something. We may find ourselves saying, please consider ways to continue funding this, as a way that we're basically telling people to put the brakes on taking things offline that were previously accessible, and now a whole beach might be shuttered for the summer that caused, people would have gone there because of the accessibility features. So that's all. It's a beginning discussion. We don't really need to act on this tonight, unless anyone, wants to get the ball rolling. I don't think we have anything concrete yet as far as definitively whether the override is going to be on the um, ballot or not. But even if it's not, um, we're either facing the possibility of a reduction budget, or if it's not on the ballot, um, definitely being faced with a reduction budget. And that could impact all sorts of things that we may not have even thought of as
Right.
far as services and such. So just so you know. Any thoughts on
Thank you.
that?
Well,
No.
when you start hearing things about possibly cutting funding for certain programs, such as those that deal with people with disabilities, I think of the Americans with Disability Act and how that would affect those changes. You know,
Well, I mean, we're deficient in certain areas, and our goal has been to chip away at these deficiencies. And
right?
now we would potentially be now saying, okay, we've now fixed this issue, but we're closing the gate to everyone,
Uh,
you know.
yeah.
It's not a definite, but it was discussed as a possibility for a reduction budget at last week's finance committee. It was actually a public hearing. It wasn't the main meeting portion, but it was the public hearing. So um, just so you know that during that public hearing, I let the chair and the finance committee know of our accessibility at grafton-ma.gov uh, email address. If anyone had any input of areas that may be of their concern that we may not be aware of that could be impacted by either a reduced budget or Community Preservation Act going away if people vote that out. So um, that's all. So my plan is to uh, keep this on as a placeholder up until our, I guess, May meeting. Yeah. So if anything comes up, we could mix and match with external correspondence. So um, I would anticipate that a handful of people may weigh in. So
Okay.
yeah. All right. Next meeting, Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30. And that's about all really. So just wrapping up the action items. We will come up with some ideas regarding town survey, but you said, Tracy, you're going to be doing something. What were you going to be doing? I know I'm going to ask William about the process to send out a survey, but I guess we're just going to kind of think of some ideas as well.
Well, I can request the survey done by Shrewsbury
Okay, that would be
to take a
great.
peek at what they asked
Okay.
and see if I can find any other ones.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
extensive,
No.
but it would be great to see what, we don't always need to reinvent the wheel. All right, and then I'll ask William about permission of how um what the process is to send out these surveys, and then I'll also look up those 6 meetings in 2020. Thank you again, Christy, for taking care of those three outstanding ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2020, I was like, all right, what's going on here? So, 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
I was a mere child at the time.
Oh, there you go. It was all during COVID. Well, mostly
Yeah.
COVID. All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
I
motion.
Who
I
said
second
that?
the
I was
motion.
looking down.
I said it.
Oh,
I
motion.
second it.
All right. Motion made by Christy to adjourn,
I was trying to be
seconded
Paul.
by Paul. All
Yeah.
those in favor by roll call, Paul,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Tracy,
I
Roger, I declare the motion carried unanimously for nothing.